Hey guys, welcome back. It's TK Sports again. We're going to do another divisional prediction. We're going to do the AL Central for Major League Baseball.
You already know the Yankees and Red Sox are going from last video, so we're going to keep filling out this bracket for you.
We get closer to opening day. We actually have a full postseason prediction. That's our plan. So
speaking of closer to season, spring training starts tomorrow.
Yeah, spring training.
Yeah.
I know a lot of teams playing their first game tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. Baseball is back. I'm excited. So can't wait to go out to the ballpark. So yeah, we're going to the AL Central this time. The Indians won this division last year, and they ended up getting knocked out by the Yankees in the first round in the 5-game series.
It was a good series.
Yeah, the Indians just, for some reason, just can't get past that hump of being that great regular season team and then winning the World Series. I know they went to the World Series in Game 7 against the Cubs, and the Cubs, that was, I think, the greatest Game 7, maybe in sports history. That's a big argument, but it was a pretty great considering the circumstances. But yeah, so the Indians, they won 102 games last year. We're going to do a little over-under again. The Indians, they're pretty much great in every category.
Yeah, definitely.
From strength of the lineup, through rotation, bullpen, defense, pretty much everything. Speed, they have it all. And their infield is pretty stacked with Jason Kipnis, who plays a little outfield now. Francisco Lindor, you could make the case as the best shortstop, along with Carlos Correa and Corey Seager, and then Jose Ramirez, and then Edwin Encarnacion playing a little bit of first. So
yeah, and I think that they're one of the underlying stats too that really brings out how good this team is their run differential. I mean, they were plus 254 last season. I mean, they scored 818 runs and only gave up 564. So, I mean, they're good on both sides of the ball. And I think this is pretty much, the same roster as last year. I mean, as long as they stay healthy and they go out there and there's no reason that they shouldn't have a year very similar to last year.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why. I mean, their bullpen's pretty much the same, and the rotation's still really good. They still got Corey Kluber, who won the Cy Young last year. So I don't see any reason why they couldn't win 102 games this year. But that being said, we're going to do a little under 102. I've got them under just because I think the Twins have gotten better, and I think maybe they'll have a little bit more head-to-head battles. So I think it's not going to be under by much. They could only be 101 games compared to 102. I mean, it could be 97. So I still have Cleveland winning the division, but I think they're going to go under just a little bit, just a smidge.
Yeah, I got them under also. I don't see them breaking the 100 win mark, but I actually have them a little bit lower than what you have them. I have them around 94, 95 next year.
Wow.
And I would say the reason why, I think coming off these last 2 years, with great playoff pushes and, getting so close but not getting the whole thing, I think that they're going to maybe approach this year a little bit differently. Maybe not use all their guns in the regular season. I think they're going to try and preserve a little bit more. And I think they're going to not regress, but I think they're going to more go into it a little bit more, I want to say prepared.
Cautiously.
Yeah, cautiously. That's a good way to say it. I think they're going to win more in the 94, 95 range, still make the playoffs, though.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't see how they don't make the playoffs. But I think that's kind of a basketball way to take it. Because you've seen the Golden State Warriors, they really kind of rest their guys and don't go 35-minute games for each player, taxing them throughout the regular season when they know, well, we got to play for June.
Yeah.
And so with baseball, the Indians, they go, we got to play for October.
Yeah.
And we got to get to that World Series.
Yeah.
So.
And they're so close right now.
Close.
Maybe if they go in a little bit more cautious, maybe their guys are a little bit more rested.
Yeah.
Maybe they're more, mentally aware, mentally alert, and they go in and win it.
And I think Francona has a good grasp on that team and what they really need.
Oh, yeah.
What they really need at the time, and what guys are hurting, what guys need a break. So it'll be interesting to see how that division plays out. And speaking of, we're going to be talking about the Minnesota Twins, who were a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
But they did lose in the play-in game against the New York Yankees, because we all know what the Yankees did later on in the postseason. They lost the play-in game, but they've improved dramatically with their pitching, which I think is the biggest need for this team.
Yeah, definitely. I again looked at their run differential, and like I said earlier, Cleveland was plus 254. That's crazy. I think it's the biggest run differential actually in the league. But you look at Minnesota, they're only plus 27. And this is a team that only scored 3 runs less than Cleveland.
Wow.
So offensively, they're on the same level as Cleveland.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people probably would think that.
No.
Especially when you look at, Cleveland winning 102 and Minnesota only winning 85.
I can tell you, you telling me that shocked me because I didn't think it was that close. I thought I thought Cleveland would, smoke most teams out of the water. But
Yeah.
especially the Twins. I mean, the Twins only won 85 games
They got
last
a
year.
lot of big bats. I mean, I got some names right here. They got, Joe Mauer's still reliable, still hitting above 300, I think plus the 350 plus on base percentage, so
Wow.
he's still getting it done. You got Brian Dozier, Rosario, Sano. I mean, all three of those hit 25 plus bombs, if I'm right, in the last year.
Yeah, that's a lot of home runs.
So, I mean, they got a lot of pop in this bat in their lineup. And like you said, their pitching is where they struggle. I mean, they gave up 788. And if they can improve, not only, as a starting pitchers, but in the bullpen as well, and cut maybe that 788 down to 700 maybe.
Maybe get under that 700
Yeah,
threshold too.
yeah, definitely. I mean, if they can improve and get, a little bit better in that bullpen, a little bit better quality starting pitching, there's no doubt in my mind that Minnesota can compete with Cleveland and possibly win the division.
So, that being said, over under 85 wins.
Oh, definitely over.
Yeah, I definitely over. How many wins? Be specific about it.
I got Cleveland at 95.
Mm-hmm.
I got Minnesota 93.
Oof, that's tough. I'd come down to last weekend. I wonder if they played in the last weekend of the
Yeah,
that'd be a fun series. Now you talk about pace of play, throw it out the window with that kind of series.
Oh, yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
fun to watch. So, but yeah, my thoughts. They did just get Jake Odorizzi from the Tampa Bay Rays, who we talked about last episode, and so they add him to the rotation along with Irvin Santana, and they just signed the former Detroit Tiger, Anibal Sanchez. So they do shore up that pitching a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the bullpen still needs help, but
I don't know if they have enough to get over Cleveland, because I look at Cleveland and I see a team that genuinely does not have a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
But Minnesota, it would not surprise me if they took this division. And I really, really think that they're going to be a team coming into this year that nobody's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to shock a lot of people.
And it's surprising that you think it's not surprising
Yeah.
that they would take over the Indians. I think a lot of people, the census around people in Major League Baseball is that the Indians, may go to the World Series again this year, and will dominate this division.
Yeah, a lot of people think they have this on lock right now.
Forget about the team in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
So I do have the Indians over 85 wins. I think I have them in the 90 to 93 range, like you were saying. But I think the Indians are closer to that 100 mark, and I think they take the division. And I think the Indians will go far in the postseason, unlike they did last year when they kind of disappointed some people. So, but yeah, I think they've shored up the pitching, the offense. Like you said, they were like 3 runs less than the Indians. So the Indians are one of the best offensive teams in baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, I just mentioned their infield. Their outfield's still stacked too.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but that being said, I do have the Twins going over, and I do have them coming in second. But I think they do make it past the wild card round. Moving on, talking about the Royals, who just lost their core, most of their core in this offseason, which is, troublesome for fans because fans, they love the core players. They never want to see them go, but it's a tough thing for a small revenue, small market team like the Royals. It's a
business at the end of the day.
Business, I mean, you can't pay everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Royals are ready to pay Hosmer that much money. So.
Yeah.
But I see the Royals starting to rebuild. They got a stud second baseman in Whit Merrifield now they can kind of build the core around. Alcides Escobar's 31. Other than that, I don't really see... Oh, they lost Jason Vargas this offseason.
They lost
Lorenzo
Cain.
Lorenzo Cain, yeah, that's
and
right.
Obviously Hosmer, like we talked about in a video a few videos ago. Mm-hmm. I don't see any upward projections for Kansas City. I see it only going downwards.
Yeah, me too.
But one thing I do have to give them is at least they're getting compensation for what they're losing. And I think that they're kind of going into these next few years understanding that they're probably going to be in a rebuilding phase soon. So I do got to give the organization as a whole props for that. I think that they're going into this smart, and they're giving up a piece here, and I don't think they're going to get rid of that entire core. I mean, they still technically have that core, minus a few people.
Yeah, they're probably going to go analytics more, and go cheap, go young, and go with the stats. So I think they will rebuilding. That being said, we're going to do the same old question: over under 80 wins. Like you said, I think you're going under, right? Yeah,
I'm going under. I actually have them going most likely fourth in the division. Mm-hmm. I have them probably getting around, I want to say 73, 72 wins.
Mm-hmm. I have them going under as well. I think they do finish around 72 or 73 wins, so I kind of agree with you there. But it's too bad because the Royals have been kind of a mainstay in the postseason in the last few years.
Yeah.
It's been fun to watch them. That ballpark in Kansas City gets live, and it's a fun team. So,
yeah.
But moving on, you go to the White Sox, who won 67 games last year. Not kind of a down year, a very much down year. And in an offseason with question, they were thinking about trading Jose Abreu, which is kind of weird considering, wouldn't that be a guy you want to build around, in a rebuilding phase?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, if I'm right, they have him locked up for a while, right?
Yeah, I think he's still under contract.
I mean, it's definitely something that they could build around. And, I mean, you're talking about a team, that's still under 70 wins. I mean, you need, as much as I am giving props to Kansas City for getting rid of pieces, they're not getting rid of every piece.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that the White Sox need to keep in mind. They need to hold on to their, not every piece, but they need to hold on to people like Abreu, somebody that they could, have that veteran leadership and potentially a player to build around. And I think it's definitely someone that they're going to hold on to. For me, I think that their biggest problem is traveling. I mean, they were 28-53 on the road last year.
Yeah.
They were only 3 games under 500 at home. So they play pretty well in their home ballpark.
And for the White Sox, this team is going to be built around a couple of young guys. There's Adam Engel, who plays center field, who they project to be a star. And then we all know about Yoan Moncada, who plays second base, and he's supposed to be a star. So if those two guys can really show up, I think this White Sox team can be turned around quickly, with the exception they need to pitch.
Yeah, definitely.
They have one of the worst staffs in baseball. So if they shore up some pitching, get more offense, and the young guys start to come out of their own skin a little bit and start playing well at the major league level, I think they're not as far away as people think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a team that has the potential to improve. I don't know how much that margin is. I do think it's going to be a little bit. And as a matter of fact, my over-under for them, I have them over, and I actually have them around 70 wins.
Okay. I have them over as well, but I have them going 75 wins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have them taking third place in this division, which is not saying much because the Tigers were pretty awful last year.
Yeah.
And I think the Royals just take a decline from those 80 wins last year. So,
yeah.
But
for me, it's a coin flip right now between third and fourth for Chicago and Kansas City.
Too.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Kansas City went to fourth, and I wouldn't be shocked if Chicago stayed where it was. The division pretty much just did a repeat.
Yeah. So the Tigers lost 98 games and won 64 from last year.
That ain't good.
One of the worst teams in baseball, if not the worst. That being said, they still have Miguel Cabrera, who honestly is at 34 years old. He's not producing at old Miguel Cabrera ways, but he can still hit and still provide a little something. Do you think by the end of this year they trade a Miguel Cabrera?
I don't. I think with that age and his decline right now, I don't think that they're going to be able to get much compensation for Miguel Cabrera. I understand that he's a big name, and when you hear a big name like that, that brings a lot of nostalgia back. Like, oh, I remember Miguel Cabrera,
Triple
best,
Crown winner.
Yeah, Triple Crown, best hitter in baseball.
Yeah.
And I think when it really comes down to it, you're going to be looking at teams that are potentially making playoff pushes. Generally, teams that are making playoff pushes don't have a lot of holes, and I don't think that they're going to give up a lot for Miguel Cabrera, and I don't think the Tigers are going to basically give him away for as much as they're going to get back.
Okay. I think it'd be a smart move to get Miguel Cabrera, off your payroll, off the books, and I think you might want to trade him to a team like Minnesota. Well, for Minnesota, it makes sense because any power you could get more to compete with the Indians' offense, the better, and that kind of surpasses what you need help with the pitching if your pitching's not performing as well. Because if you score a lot of runs, that might cover up some of the scars of the pitching.
Definitely.
So if they add a Miguel Cabrera, I think he brings a little veteran presence, not just a lot of veteran presence. So I think that'll help the Twins a lot, and I think the Tigers could get something back from Miguel Cabrera. I don't want to if I'm the Tigers, I don't want to just let Miguel walk, although it would be nice for the fans to kind of send him on his way.
Definitely.
Out in the sunset. You're a Tiger for life.
Yeah.
But it's a business. If you really want to rebuild, you really want to start winning within the next 3 years, I think you have to trade a guy like this.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if it happened, but I genuinely don't see it happening. I see him as someone who's been loyal to Detroit. I see this franchise as an organization that's been loyal to Miguel Cabrera. I think they're on great standings. He's done a lot for this team. The team's done a lot for him. And I think he's more of a piece that they're keeping around to also just help with their farm system. I mean, he's someone that's grooming their team. It might not be mainstream and seen on the front lines, but it's definitely happening subliminally on that team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they want to get rid of that.
Okay. For the Tigers going into next season, so forget all the Miguel Cabrera trade talk. We'll just toss that to the side. For the Tigers next year, they need 3 guys in their rotation to pitch well. They need Michael Fulmer, who I think is one of the better young pitchers in baseball. Jordan Zimmerman to be consistent, which he's never been in his career. He's always inconsistent. And then they just signed Mike Fiers from the Houston Astros. If those 3 guys can pitch decently well, I think they can get over 64 wins, which isn't saying much because 64 wins isn't that great anyways. But you don't want to get 64 wins again.
Yeah,
I mean, your fan base will just be dying for something.
Yeah.
Just get in the 70 range. Just make us feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So
something respectable.
Respectable. Yeah. I mean, 70 wins, you're bad, but you're not 64 wins bad. 90, almost 100 losses bad.
Yeah.
So do you see the Tigers going over or under 64 wins?
This might shock you, but I actually have them under.
Wow.
I have them losing more than 100 games. I'd say they win probably 63, 62 next year. I think they do have that potential to get triple-digit losses. And I would say, again, the main reason being the defensive play. I mean, they gave up 894 runs last year.
Is that most in baseball?
Yeah, that's the most in baseball.
Jeez.
And when you divide that over the course of a season, that's just about 5 runs a game that they're giving up.
I was going to say, if that's not the most in baseball, that'd be quite shocking. Whoever's giving up almost 900 runs, whoever's giving up 900 runs past 894. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's just crazy. If they weren't the worst in baseball, that'd be shocking.
I mean, anytime your team is giving up 5 runs a game, I don't see how you have the potential to win 70-plus games.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of times where, especially, a team like Detroit, who doesn't even have, a lot of offensive pieces.
They don't.
They're not going to show up every day. And when you're already down 5, I don't see how they're going to become a 70-win team. And I do see regression furthermore for this team.
Okay. I have them going over. I think they get 69, 70, 71 wins. I think it's just because I think if Jordan Zimmerman, I don't know what his contract looks like. I think he might be on a contract year. He might pitch out of his mind. And then Michael Fulmer, I think, will have a good year. He was a Rookie of the Year. Michael Fulmer was, I think, 2 years ago. And then Mike Fiers, I think, is a good pitcher, solid pitcher. I think if those 3 guys can just hold the fort a little bit in that rotation, I think it could get them to 70 wins. But I'm not going to argue they're going under 64 because, honestly, this on paper and looking at them, they are as bad as they are.
Yeah.
There's a reason they lost 98 games.
Yeah.
So, but who do you got winning the division?
For me, it's a coin flip again, similar to last week. How I potentially saw either New York or Boston winning. To me, it's between the 2 powerhouses, Minnesota and Cleveland. And as much as I want to say Cleveland's going to hold it down for another year and win this division, I really see this being Minnesota's year. I think Minnesota takes the division, not by a wide margin. I think maybe by 1 to 3 games. It's going to come down to the wire for this team. But I think Minnesota's going to win this division.
I disagree. I just think Cleveland's way too good. I think the Indians have it going for them. This may be their year. Their year, as in winning the World Series year. So I think Francona is not going to allow them to lose this division. Or at least not lose it, but just not come in first. Because if you're coming in second in this division, you're not really losing a division. So I think it's a bad word to say. But I think Cleveland will win this division. I think they make a deep run in the postseason, maybe win it all. Be a fun AL postseason race if it's the same 4 teams or 5 teams from last year. You throw in the Twins in there too. I mean, Twins.
Definitely.
I mean, the Twins could win 90 games and be a wild card.
Yeah,
that's how good
there are just a few pieces in the rotation away.
Yeah, they really are.
And I think that they picked up those pieces.
Yeah.
And I think that if they just cut that margin down just a little bit, or increase, I should say, because they're technically plus 27. If they can add a little bit and increase that to a 50 or potentially even 100 points in run differential, I mean, this is a team that could have won 100 games.
Yeah.
I mean, they have that type of offense.
Definitely. I'm not going to disagree. We'll see if they pick up Miguel Cabrera at the deadline or anybody else at the deadline. I think that'd be a huge addition too. So this will be fun. This will be a fun division. I'm looking forward to this not just the American League Central, honestly, just the whole American League.
Yeah.
Because I think the Angels got better. We're going to get in the AL West next time, but I think the Angels got better. I think the Mariners got better, and we also
think the A's will improve. Yeah.
I think the A's will improve, and we all know about the Astros. So this is a wrap for AL Central.
Yeah.
So if you guys could like, comment, share, subscribe on all of our videos, all of our episodes. Comment what you guys want to see more of, any questions you have for us, or any
we will respond. We will respond to comments.
Yeah. So any criticism you guys have or anything. So.
And I actually have a question too for you guys that you could leave in the comments. I know that looking at our last 2 videos, as far as the divisions go, we've had we're saying that the teams that are going to make the playoffs are the teams that made it last year. And I feel like we're not saying that off of trend. We're saying that because we genuinely believe that. I know that there's a lot of people probably out there who have good cases for teams like Tampa Bay or Baltimore or Chicago. I want to hear from that perspective. I want to hear a team that's pretty far on the outside looking in. I want to hear from a team that, is looking from the outside in. I want to hear that perspective.
Who are you guys' dark horses?
Yeah.
Who do you guys really think can make a run at this?
Do you guys think Kansas City could surprise some people?
I mean, Minnesota was a surprise team last year.
Yeah.
So who's going to be that surprise team this year?
Yeah, definitely.
National League or American League. We'd love to hear it. So, like I said, comment, share, subscribe. Really appreciate it. And for TK Sports, we'll see you next time.